Today I'd like to talk about mental illness. Mental illness manifests itself in ways such as bipolar disorder, depression, eating disorders, schizophrenia, and borderline personality disorder. Now you're probably wondering how all of this relates to you. Well, 1 in 4 Americans annually are faced with a mental health problem. A mental illness is defined as a medical condition that disrupts a person's mood, thinking, feeling, ability to relate to others, and daily functioning. It's important to use the proper terminology when talking about people who have and do not have mental illnesses. The word for someone without a mental illness is neurotypical. It's good to use the word neurotypical instead of words like normal because it implies that people with mental illnesses are somehow less than normal or abnormal. Now, when talking about someone with a mental illness or whose brain simply works differently, it's good to use the word neuroatypical. Now, mental illnesses are by all means treatable through forms of therapy as well as medication. Also, a mental illness is not a result of a lack of character, poor upbringing, or personal weakness. And it's definitely not something to be ashamed of. If you know or are someone with a mental illness, you can always speak up. Around 50% of all mental illnesses appear by age 14. 13% of children 8 to 15 have one, 20% of children 13 to 18 have one, and 50% of them have no access to mental health resources. Now that you know some of the facts, you're probably wondering, what can you do? You can support your peers, encourage them to seek help, create a safe space for them, and be an ally. One of the best ways to be an ally is by using the proper terminology, using language such as "I'm so bipolar" sometimes, or a phrase like "I'm OCD about that," is actually pretty harmful to the mental illness community. By doing this, you're turning a serious illness into an accessory. By knowing more about mental illness and using proper language, we can create a supporting environment. This environment can consist of not only teachers, students, but also parents as well. Now, 2 million teens attempt suicide annually. This is not only tragic, but it's preventable. Remember, you are not alone. As someone with a mental illness, there are plenty of free resources available at your fingertips if you ever feel unsafe. Some of these include hotlines, online chat programs, and even 911 as a last resort. If someone ever calls upon you for help, it's important to be there for them by giving support, referring to resources, and remaining confidential unless it's an emergency. Mental illness is far from curable, and it's something a lot of Americans will have to face. But by working together, we can demystify and destigmatize mental illness.